This is your daily market review for Monday, March 18, 2024.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your daily market review for Monday, March 18, 2024. Hopefully you had a great weekend. A lot of fun basketball to watch. March Madness is back. Well, does March Madness speak for the markets? Going into the NVDA conference tomorrow and the FOMC on Wednesday, I would confirm March Madness is upon us. If you have any questions, want to check out the Discord room, link in the description below. Use the Calendly link. Reach out if you'd like to chat. A lot of folks having questions about the markets, real estate, everything in general. It's getting pretty wild out there. Seeing a lot of the commercial real estate stuff. And I think there's $900 billion of commercial real estate debt that has to be refinanced this year. I don't know what the heck is going to happen with that, but do yourself a favor. Whatever you're doing, be thoughtful. Raise your stops. Define your risk. If you're shorting, same thing. Do not sit here blindly doing anything. New to the channel, again, check out the Discord room in the description below. Check out my website, thetradingagent.com. And also, too, education series on YouTube and on my website. You might want to watch this, How to Trade the Markets, the Monday and Tuesday preceding the FOMC meetings on Wednesday. Whew. Also, follow on Twitter, posting a ton of trades, things that I think are interesting, levels I'm watching. Yeah, let me know how I can help. Always here. So let's jump into it. We know this week, nothing. I don't even know why we look at it. Let's look at May now. Pause. Nothing. Nothing expected coming up. Bitcoin. Yeah, I don't know. Breakout, now chopping back at the old highs. Worst case scenario, it's going to chop. We've talked about this. There's some big sellers. And again, I'm not a big fan of when BlackRock and Fink, all these big institutional guys are all like screaming, now it's time to buy Bitcoin. Because at the lows, they were saying sell. And at the highs, are they saying buy because they're selling? These guys are crooks, y'all. They'll talk, won't say one thing and mean another. Natty gas, love these levels. We've talked about it. If it allows for the zoom out, maybe next week. All right, yeah, these are great levels. Go check the charts. Not confusing. Dollar breaking over the 20-day, as we talked about. Be careful here because the dollar starts cooking. Again, volatility in the dollar and the bonds is all I'm really watching. We posted this today. Would you be surprised if bonds tested the low 92s here going into an FOMC meeting? No, probably not at all. The VIX, popping, chopping, but holding the range lows. Could it retest? Again, know your levels. The Vixen getting a little interesting, right? Choppy. Vivix, we're not surprised. Until the market really goes, could be like in this big chop range from 90s, mid 90s to upper 70s. Good range to trade though. SPY pops up, closes near the lows. It's just choppy. Just choppy. Your guess is as good as mine. 8, 10-day, and the 20-day. I'm just watching this area. Could we retest? I guess so. And nothing's possible. Nothing is impossible. Q. Talked about it breaking the 20-day, popping back up. Man, that's a pretty pathetic pop on the Apple Google news. So, more likely the most important news is going to be the NVIDIA conference tomorrow. IWM, nothing. DIA, this one's been holding up really well, but now you're getting stuck at the 20-day. Just keep an eye on this stuff because it could turn at any minute. Gold, we talked about liking physical for a long time. We talked about it's hard to trust the breakout until the Fed pivot. There's no pivot on the horizon, but it doesn't mean gold can't rise because of certain other things going on the market. It's tough to trust silver and the miners, right? And if you zoom out, silver's nowhere close to the highs. Like, look at this. It should be in the 29, 28 range. Minimum. GDX, same kind of thing like the miners. Like, look at these. I talked about these things that get absolutely swamped because when the market sells, nothing's safe. And these names are part of the S&P 500. And people, again, it can pop. It definitely can. But what we've seen is if there's credit issues, liquidity issues, miners get slammed. Prices on these things that'll make 0 sense. And AM retesting the range highs. AG, little dead cat bounce. Choppy. Newmont, we've talked about this one hitting the channel lows. It made sense. It was due to bounce, but I don't know how much more upside. Your guess is good as mine. And then the good old PAAS. Chop. Fizz. What a relief it is. Keep an eye on these names. Again, I don't have a beef with them, but I'd rather be patient. I think there's better trades shorting certain things. Taiwan Semi, for example, is one. Here you go. Pops up on the AM. Gives it all back. I mean, again, going into this FOMC meeting and NVIDIA stuff, I wouldn't be surprised to see it. It's either about to just get destroyed or it's going to pop and then flop, in my opinion. Micron, same kind of thing. All these things are about to pop and flop, or today was the pop. That's the question, right? AMD. I mean, this thing, you would think this would have a bigger range today. A lot of nothing. Again, NVIDIA, Jay Solstice was talking about in the Discord room, like a lot of calls traded today. In my mind, I'm like, who's selling and who's buying? Look at that pop. We talked about this like 920 area. Now again, going in tomorrow, who knows? SMCI, look at the range today. This is a huge range, right? It's a $200 range. That's not bullish, but you did hold around the 1,000 area. So again, I mean, if you're long-term bullish, short-term bearish, I mean, this is, again, short highs, look for bigger dips. I personally would be buying just shallow dips. Intel, we've talked about this one lagging. SMH, are you surprised, right? Like it's got nothing. We talked about the 20-day, gaps up, gives it back. I mean, how do you watching this 228 to 222, 2023 level? It could just chop around. Adobe, market, obviously wasn't down today. Big candle, gap down on earnings. Okay. I mean, I'd be watching the 530, little oversold rally. Apple, I mean, look at this thing. Pops, you're like, I mean, I thought honestly it could get up to 180. That's an ugly effing candle. Like, they didn't want it at all. Like, it gaps up and it gives it all back. We'll see. Amazon, chopping 20-day. Meta, I'm kind of like just chopping around. I mean, you're starting to see these names that you would think would be going nuts are just CRM bouncing back to the 20-day. The Guggenheim pops up on the Gemini, said, watch the gap fill. You're welcome. Da-da-da-da-da-da. There it is. You're welcome. Man, you see a retest up there. I think you know what to do. Microsoft, man, it's just stuck in this area. This is tough. NDAQ, I mean, saw this thing bouncing, was like, get out of here. Putting an eye on that one. Put the target on that one for real. MicroStrategy. This one's tough because Bitcoin looks tired here. Bitcoin looks tired. I mean, shouldn't it come back? I mean, I don't know about the 800 level, but I wouldn't be surprised at the 20-day at all. Netflix holding up. Got to give it credit where credit is due. Chopping around. Roblox today, down 8%. Man, I better hold the channel. It's at the 200-day. Pan W again. We talked about the good old Paul Pelosi punch. I mean, it should be rallying, but if it doesn't, watch the 200-day, that channel low. Good old Tesla. We talked about this thing being a dog. I mean, it breaks out of the channel, gaps up today. I mean, I saw people talking about trading it. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't have much for this stock, meaning like I don't think it's got much upside nor downside near term. I mean, once again, it's not acting well, so it's clearly lagging. But once the dam breaks on the market, in my opinion, I don't think this one's safe at all. Airbnb, we talked about this one again, like breaking out and then giving it back. You've got like a multi-day range here. I mean, it's got to move out of this point range. And then once it does, just keep an eye on it. Costco bouncing back again, but not anything. Again, it drops on earnings, watching the 20-day, 8-day. All of them now are going to start curling down. Doesn't really look good. The good Starbucksia, chopping, chop. Talked about this thing breaking the channel. I mean, this is fugly. Right? Just do yourself a favor. I wouldn't. I have no desire in Starbucks. FedEx, we talked about this one holding up around this like low 250s. So far it is. Caterpillar, nice bounce today, or a nice pop today. Again, glad we got stopped out of that one. It's holding up really well. Got to give it credit. Nucor, talked about this one like fake breaking out, chopping around. I mean, you could argue this could turn into a head and shoulders top, or this thing's about to rip. Pretty, I don't know, cut and dry. Here you go. We talked about X wouldn't get bought out by Nippon. We talked about how it would probably pull back. We said the downside wasn't, I mean, we weren't going back into the 20s off of this news, but here you go. Keep an eye on it. VALE, dead. Arrow, been holding up pretty well. Like, again, like it's breaking out, but I don't like today's bars with that. Like, that's, tweezers top, I don't know, railroad tracks. Second railroad tie points the direction. I mean, is that going down? I don't know. CCJ. This is another one that you just got to be thoughtful on. Watch this area. It's come down fast, but then you got the bounce and it's chopping. I mean, I don't trust. Again, I love ag. I love all commodities long term. I don't trust them. Like, they're in these big chop zones. You got to be careful with them because they could go nowhere and then they could get slammed with the market, and it would be really disappointing if you bought stuff and you could have done better in other things. NTR, same kind of thing. Mosaic, Aaron, holding up a little bit, right? Building a little moment over the 200-day. Could it fill the gap? I mean, this thing is, zoom out. It's at 104, 2022. It's pretty cheap, right? XLF holding up. I mean, God, just waiting, hoping. Had its XDiv today. Keeping on it. I mean, I feel like the top is in. JP Mo, got to give it credit for this one. Look, man, it's crazy because it's like, really? Okay. Morgan Stanley. I mean, some of these names just don't give it, not doing it. Morgan Stanley chopping around. Bank of America, here you go, holding up pretty well. Goldman Sachs, every time it popped, it just couldn't go anywhere. Now you're hanging out under the 20-day. I don't know why we wouldn't go back to 375. And we talk about junior banks. They've been just absolute turd. XBI. So this is where it gets interesting. Like, this is where if you really thought the market was strong, like, these breakouts need to sustain, right? This is what we talked about. Like, got to go. Nope. Coming right back. So just keep an eye on it. Because, again, strong, weak, it's all kind of relative here. But we need to see what happens. Because this pullback doesn't look like you wanted to see the continuation. But we've seen traps. So watch the low 90s. If it holds, it holds, it folds, it folds. Solar, we talked about this being kind of crap. I mean, it just seems to be chopping around here. I'm not surprised on days where the market's just kind of flat to up. ENPH, I mean, these names started to get throttled last week. Not surprised. Oil holding up. You got to give it credit where, right? Like, it seems to be holding up. So if you have any thoughts on it, right, just, I don't know, just ten cuidado, right? Here it is chopping around, right? Anyway, is what it is. HY Jizzle chopping around the 20-day. I mean, you got to be crazy to be buying corporate debt. Oil, this is what's got to be frustrating for the feds. It's starting to build. We talked about natural gas. I mean, I don't really like the UNG, but we do like shorting KOLD. And every time it gets up in the 150s, I mean, we talked about like this multi-day range probably would need to be holding up here. And I like that. But again, just be careful because if the market cracks, the stuff could get ripped too. XOP's been holding up. We talked about when it broke over the 140s. That's looks strong. Like, look at our friend ExxonMobil, right? Gets over this like 104, and it's just been creeping higher. So, I mean, the next resistance, I mean, are we there yet? Over there yet? I mean, you're getting pretty damn close. Keep an eye on this 112 plus. Not bad. CVE, we talked about this one breaking out once it got over the 200-day. Cool. Looking good. Valero, I mean, these gas names have been holding. I mean, credit where credit's due. Gasoline, ripping. MPC, same kind of thing. Broke out of the channel. Okay. I mean, do not short these. Occidental, I mean, is it going to get up into the 67? I mean, Buffett is selling calls and puts, just playing the game. EQT, buying a midstream partner out. Let the dust settle, because I think it does make sense down here at some point. And then last but not least, Flex LNG. So we talked about this one. I think we'll be natural gas exporters in time. So if you have any questions, again, about real estate, buying, selling, investment properties, 1031, and whatever you need help with, do not hesitate to reach out. Spent a lot of the day, I apologize, not involved, just listening to the National Association of Realtors lawsuit was settled. Now commissions offered by sellers listing brokerages will not be posted on the MLS. So it's going to change a lot of things. It's going to mean there's a lot of unrepresented buyers potentially, because if the seller's not willing to pay a buyer's agent commission, do you think VA loan, FHA loan, people on the low end are going to be able to get buyer representation? They're going to require you to have an agent to get into a house, but how are you going to make a living if you don't get paid to show people houses? Keep in mind too, like there's a way to commission crunch this and really set up the structures, but on the low end, I mean, people don't have money to pay a buyer's agent to show them houses. Like, they barely can afford it. So now it becomes a negotiation point within the contract Whereas like the seller might not want to deal with this. I mean, it's just, again, unintended consequences always show up. And I mean, I could talk about more of this stuff, but if you're looking to buy or sell, let me know how I can help, give you more information on this stuff, because it's going to change the way a game is. Like, again, because if you don't want to offer a commission, you might as well be a FSBO. So anyway, talk to you guys and gals later. Peace.